Hey everyone, welcome to Technical Support. My name is Nicole Willett, and I'm the owner of Technical Support, formerly Breaking Even Communications, which is a marketing company that has been working with clients for the last 17 years on their marketing strategy and implementation. So I've worked with a lot of mainly small businesses, but also some large ones, as well as some nonprofits and some creators as well. And today I want to talk about pathways to a logo. Now, chances are, if you are starting a brand new business, or maybe you just have something that you feel like should be separate from your existing business, like maybe you have a separate kind of service that you want to market to a specific group of people, or maybe you're going to be holding an event that you want to be separately branded so that it can involve other businesses like your business or something like that. And you might think, well, it would be really nice to have a logo, but how do I get one of those? And this video just gives you some general options of how you can approach it. The one thing that I will say is that if this is going to be an ongoing business thing for you, like, you're opening a brand new company or something like that, what I would want you to do is ask for two things from whatever logo design situation you go into. Number one, you want the original logo files, and please check those files when you get them. There are sometimes, it looks like an Adobe Illustrator file and then you open it up and all the layers are locked or something like that. Original source files, and you also want, when you get a logo, to have a vectorized version of the logo. A vectorized logo allows you to dynamically resize the logo without it losing its resolution. So if you want it to bring it down to the size of a business card, or if you want to blow it up to the size of a side of a building, your logo will translate if it's a vectorized logo. So those are kind of the two outputs I would look for in terms of a final product. So without further ado, let's get started on what your options are, from maybe least expensive to maybe most expensive. Your first option, which is going to be your cheapest option, is to use some kind of online logo generator. And especially in the age of AI, we have a lot of those. So you can basically go to one of these websites and you can put in something like, the name of the thing you want. Maybe it'll ask you about things like preferred styles or color palettes or how you want it to feel. Maybe it'll ask you for some keywords, and then it's going to generate a series of things that you can pick from. Now, because it's computer generating them, there's gonna have a certain level of sort of simplicity to them, and oftentimes in these logo generators, if it gives you an example, and let's say that, you like the general idea of it, but you want a different font or you want it in a different color, that's something that you can pick out. Now, typically in terms of output, for the free version, if there is a free version with the logo generator you're using, they're gonna give you kind of a relatively low resolution file. And so, like, for example, a few years ago, I had this idea for an event that I wanted to do. I wanted to do it about food marketing, and so I wanted to be able to invite, like, caterers and restaurants and things like that, and I wanted to just go into all the specific things you could do around food and marketing. I wanted to call it "Making More Bacon." Now, it was gonna be a one-time event, it was gonna be something I was trying out, so obviously, a logo generator would be perfect for that kind of instance, right? I want something that looks a little cute and memorable, that can be branded. Maybe I can put it on the online page selling tickets and the website. Maybe there's a couple social media posts about it, and that's it. For that sort of thing, the free version of a logo generator might be fine. Usually the paid version of the logo generation, most of them have a paid tier, and that's gonna give you higher resolution files, maybe some more aspect ratios so that, here's a square in a rectangular version of the logo, something like that. So it's a little bit of a package, and usually it's under $100, but usually closer to 50. That is basically gonna be your cheapest option. And if you want, you can use this process to sort of, I guess, figure out what you like. So you might go through this process and say, wow, I asked for something whimsical in the beginning, but when I went back through it and saw futuristic, I really liked those fonts better. You can kind of figure out maybe your style a little bit with a logo generator, even if you decide not to end up using one for the version of the logo you're going to end up with. A slightly more expensive option is having a logo contest. So the website I know of is 99 Designs, but I think there's a few of these out there. And basically, what you do is you put out essentially a brief of what you want, and you can see some examples on websites like this to kind of see, this is what the logo is for, this is the intended audience. And sometimes these sites will, as you're setting up your contest, will have some leading questions to sort of get you in that direction. Obviously, you can use your favorite AI to have it help you sort of formulate a design brief for a logo. And then you upload it to the contest website. And what you are agreeing to in doing that is you are going to award the winning person that fee. And the ones I've seen are, I think it started at $99. I think that's why it's called 99 Designs, but most of them I see are like $399 or something like that. Now, what's nice about that is you get a bunch of theoretically professional designers who are looking at your brief and basically giving you their best first draft for you to pick from. Obviously, you're not going to go back and forth with them. They're just giving you a draft. And maybe when you do award the winner, I'm not quite sure what the process is exactly like. Maybe you can award a winner and then ask them, hey, can you change this font to this? Or, hey, can you make this black instead of white or something like that? And maybe they'll make those changes before sending you the agreed upon files. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit more expensive than the logo generator, but you are getting a person who is doing intellectual property work on it. And you have to award the bid to one of the people in the contest because otherwise, what gross companies would do is they would put things out to bid, get a bunch of ideas, aka free work from designers. At least this way, one of the artists is being paid for their work. Now, obviously, if you're one of the artists entering into the contest and you don't win, you don't get any money. So I'm not sure how popular these are now. This was kind of more of a thing I saw in like 2017, 2018. It's clearly still an existing website, so obviously people are doing it, but I think depending on how much you're willing to pay and how clear you are with what you want, I think you'll have obviously, if you pay more and are clear with what you want, you're more likely to get high quality people who are bidding. I will say the one th well, the 2 things I would do if you wanted the maximum amount of people to bid on your project is to agree to pay them well, and you can look around the website to kind of see, what projects are going for in terms of a normal market rate. And I would be really clear with what you want. There's nothing more frustrating than a professional trying to do their best work and you haven't thought through what you want. So you'll get a higher caliber of designer if you're willing to pay them, you know, ideally at least market rate, and you're really clear with what you want. Now, the next level up that you can go is working with a freelancer. So, what's nice about that is rather than getting everyone's best first draft like you are in the logo contest, you have contracted out with a person and they're going to ask you questions, maybe draw things out of you wouldn't have necessarily thought of, and they're going to be able to kind of go back and forth with you a bit. Now, most logo designers are going to build in like a certain amount of drafts or something like that. And something that you can ask them is, hey, like at the end, can I have the source files? At the end, do I get a vectorized logo? Like what, how many different versions of the logo do I get? Do you give me a square and a rectangular version? Do you give me a grayscale black and white version and a color version? Do I get branding guidelines with this? So just get really clear on sort of what you're getting when you work with them. And ideally, what you want to do is ask to see their portfolio. I will say that different designers have different styles, and you could hire someone who's very skilled, but if you don't like their style, you're not going to like the end product they designed for you. So, you can look through different design portfolio websites. I'll put some in the show notes and maybe on the screen as well. People who, design logos for a living. And obviously, those prices will vary depending on how much experience they have, depending on how complex your project is, how many drafts or sort of back and forth that they're going to go through with you. So people who do this for a living though are going to be very clear with you in terms of like the deliverables and what's expected from you, what's expected from them, timelines, and all of that. So um, in this, you are choosing to work with a person and you are getting the benefits of that. And then finally, you can go with more of an agency. So I would say that this could be a freelancer, but we want to think a freelancer that's been doing this for 30 years. So, for example, my logo, the Breaking Even logo, which I'm now in the process of sort of redoing because we've rebranded the company to Technical Support. I'm keeping the typing lady, but I'm gonna change her colors a little bit and a couple of other things about the logo. But it's not gonna be a full-on redesign, but that logo was about $3,000. And honestly, what's great about that logo is I didn't have to ask for the source files. I didn't have to ask for a vectorized logo. He gave me so many versions of that logo. He pretty much anticipated every need I was ever gonna have. Even though I had that logo done 8 years ago, I still think it feels very fresh and very today, and there has not been one scenario where I was like, "Oh, I should have gotten this version of the logo done." Every time I think like, "Oh, I wonder," it's in the file. So he really thought of everything, and he was really skilled at sort of going through the process with me. Kind of prepare yourself for that multi-thousand-dollar price point if you are gonna, have a professional person research your audiences and, like, work up some concepts for you to consider and all of that. It's gonna be kinda like working with a freelancer, but it might feel a little bit more intense, but also it might take a lot of pressure off you because this person has so much experience. The freelancer and the agency are similar. The agency is gonna be more expensive, but like I said, they typically have more experience, they have a bigger portfolio, they know kind of the full creative brief that you haven't necessarily thought to ask for, and you might only appreciate that foresight, years later when, "Oh, I'm putting together this ad for a newspaper. I need a grayscale version of my logo. Oh, let me open up the folder, it's already there. Oh, it's in a square version. Oh, the girl's typing on a computer. Oh, the girl's holding a cell phone." I think he did another one. I think he did a tablet one too. Anyway, he really thought through the fact that maybe she wouldn't necessarily wanna be typing on a laptop. So the difference between working with, like, a freelancer and more of an agency is typically experience and price point. Obviously, if somebody's been doing something for 30 years and they've worked with really big brands, they're gonna anticipate some of your logo needs a little bit more than, you know, a design student that's been 5 years out of school. Do you know what I mean? So, what you can do is if there is a business or organization whose logo you admire, you can ask them who designed it. And even if it's not directly on their website, I think most people would readily give out that information. My logo designer, he's retired, but I did talk to him a couple of months ago when I was like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna rebrand," and I asked him kind of how he would feel kind of going through that process with me again, like taking things maybe and tweaking them versus a full on like, I wanna just take the typing girl and get rid of her, and he said he might be willing to do that. I also have a friend who does graphic design too, and I've talked to her about maybe reworking the logo, so I'll work with one of the 2 of them. I don't think that he'll be particularly upset if I, like, go with my friend because he's retired now, and he would just be kind of working with me to do it as a favor. Like I said, I was sort of prepared for a price point, and I understand the value of that price point. I had the money to do that price point. That doesn't mean you have to, like, go to an agency right away. You can start with something for now, maybe something that you work up in Canva or something like that. And then, a couple of years in, maybe you like the sort of base of the logo and you wanna just kind of refine it, and you could work with either a freelancer or an agency at that point. So, don't think that your logo has to be this fixed thing. My logo has actually changed 3 times. Well, now it'll be a 4th time with this rebrand. I'm gonna actually take the opportunity to slightly rework the colors to be able to be layered on top of one another a little bit easier. The logo is obviously really bright, and so if I'm gonna put, like, bright yellow on something, it has to be on probably a black background to have a high enough contrast. So, there are just only certain color combinations that are possible with what I have, and I'd like to give myself a little bit more of those options. There's a woman that I discovered on TikTok, and she has a sort of color palette tester. So, if you're thinking of picking out a set of colors and you wanna see how they're gonna work together, I think it's like 20 bucks or something like that. I'll put it on the screen right now, and I'll put it as a link in the show notes if you wanna check it out. But if you are kind of rebranding or thinking about colors, that might be something that's worth thinking about because things have to be high enough contrast to be readable. And in this age where we're, overlaying text in videos and images and all kinds of things, making sure that the contrast is right is really key, I think. So those are your options. If you think I've forgotten something, by the way, feel free to leave it as a comment on this video so that we can all learn. But essentially, there's no right answer. The right answer is you getting a logo that you like. That's you winning. And kind of what will go into it is, you know, how clear you are with what you want. If you're a little bit unclear with what you want, sometimes working with a professional can help you clarify. It'll depend obviously on your budget, and it will depend on the use of the logo. So if something's going to be short term, obviously you don't need a full on design suite of logo options. You just kind of need something maybe to get you through this one time event or something like that. So you can just keep that in mind. Thanks so much for watching. If you have a topic, a question, something that kind of fits in the tech and marketing realm that you'd like me to cover, you can leave it as a comment on this video. Or if you're more shy, you can use the contact form of the website, technicalsupport.com/contact. That goes right to me. If you want to lightly keep in touch, a good way to do that is through the email newsletter, technicalsupport.com. It's a monthly newsletter, so it's pretty non-intrusive that way. And if you want to help push out this content, you can like the video, leave a comment, share it, or otherwise engage with it to encourage other people to find this channel. And if you ultimately want to keep seeing videos, just hit that subscribe button. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.